Welcome to the Daily Motivational Challenge. I'm your host, Julie Wilkes, and today's motivational message is called Where to Find Luck. I'm very inspired to tell you this story today because it has touched my heart in a way that few stories have. And I'll begin with a quote from an unknown author. Luck is when opportunity knocks and we answer the door. A few days ago I was running on my favorite running trail, and it was one of those days that is just perfect. A beautiful sky, perfect temperature, slight breeze, just an amazing day. And I was finishing the last mile of my run, which is around this beautiful lake. And I got halfway around the lake and I saw this gentleman sitting in a wheelchair overlooking the entire lake. And I stopped and said, "Oh, you're sitting all by yourself. Are you bored?" And he said, "Not at all. I'm overlooking one of the most beautiful sights I've ever seen." And I said, "Well, do you have any music to listen to?" And he said, "I don't need it. I love the sound of the people's voices talking and laughing and the dogs barking and the birds singing and just the sound of being out in life." And so I smiled and wished him a great day and finished my run. As I was walking to my car, I just had this instinct that I wanted to go back and learn a little bit more from him. So I ended up taking another lap around the lake, and I got to the side that he was sitting on, and I asked him if he would mind if I joined him for a while. And he said, "Absolutely, feel free." So I sat down and just started to look at the things that he had been looking at, and it was quite beautiful. A few minutes passed, and I began asking him some questions, and I asked him, how did he come to be in a wheelchair? And he responded with the following story. His name was Michael, and Michael said, "About 10 years ago, my mom, my sister, and I wanted to go see this band that my mom loved. And so I was in my early 20s, and so we all piled into a car and we went out to this bar that this band was playing at. And when we got there, my mom and sister had to go back home for something, so I just said I would stay and hang out and wait for them. While I was waiting, some guy approached me who was just trying to start trouble, and no matter what I said, he wouldn't leave me alone, and he ended up attacking me, and he turned me around and did a karate chop on the back of my neck, and I collapsed. And the bouncers thought that I was starting a fight, and so they threw me out of the bar. I tried to get up and walk away from the bar, and I was staggering down the street and fell and collapsed. A truck driver saw this, called the emergency squad. They came, took me to the hospital, and when I woke up, I was paralyzed. And so he said, at first the doctors told me that I wouldn't have any movement below my neck. He said, but little by little, they couldn't explain how my arm started to have movement again and functionality again. And then he said the doctor said that I died 3 times that day. My heart stopped. And he said, so they truly told me I was a miracle for being able to survive. He said his mother is the person who taught him how to live again. He said that she taught him, when he would say, "Mom, can you get me a drink of water?" she'd say, "No, get it yourself." And he said she would walk away and he could hear her crying because she really wanted to help him, but she knew the importance of teaching him to be independent and strong and to find the life in his life again. And he said he was really saddened because a few years ago his mother passed away and she was his best friend, and she truly had taught him how to live again. So I sat there and I took it all in, and I was just overwhelmed with his story. And I sat for a minute and then I asked him, "Do you feel," and I paused, because I was going to say bitter about life and what's happened to you. And I said, "Do you feel," and he stopped me and said, "Lucky? Do I feel lucky? Absolutely. Do I feel blessed? Yes. Because the doctors told me that I'm lucky to be alive, that based on the things that happened to me that day, I should have died." And so he said, "My life really hasn't changed all that much." He said, "The only thing I had to change was my career because I was in construction and I couldn't do that anymore. So I just went back to school, got another degree." He said, "I own my own house. I know I have a car and I can drive." And he said, "I do everything that I would have done before." He's like, "There's really no change. I've just had to teach myself how to live again." And as I said, I was overwhelmed with his story, and I wondered if I would have been that strong in his situation. We'd like to believe we would, but I asked you to think about how would you feel. And it reminds me of an idea or a concept by Benjamin Zander, who is the Boston Philharmonic Symphony Orchestra conductor. He has written a book called The Art of Possibility. And in this he says that everything in our life is invented. Every situation we can choose to interpret it one of 2 ways, a good way or a bad way. So we should choose to always interpret life in the best way possible. He calls it standing in the possibility of our life. Because when you stand in the possibility of what could be, we open up the doors of opportunity and of luck and of blessings and of fortune. So where do you find your luck? You find your luck by standing in the possibility of what could be. That's what Michael has done. He has stood in the possibility of his life and what all his could be, and he has found life again, in a place where many people might have just chosen to let go. Sheryl Crow has a song called Soak Up the Sun, and in this song she has a lyric called, "It's not having what you want, but it's wanting what you've got." And that's standing in the possibility, knowing what's in your life and what you've got, and making the most of it, and embracing it, and seeing things as good in your life, no matter how they've occurred or happened, looking for the possibilities. So I challenge you to stand in the possibility to find your luck, your fortune, and your blessings today. Michael has, and I'm going to try. Until next time, make it a great day.